Hello and welcome back to our video explorations of GeoGebra. We have so far seen how to create objects, label them, format them, describe the construction using a text box, or use the input bar for calculating variables. We have also seen how to use sliders and input boxes for changing the parameters of a given construction. In this video, we'll be looking at the use of a checkbox, which will allow you to display or hide an object that has been used in the GeoGebra construction. This is a very powerful tool for lesson planning and allows the teacher to pause the file that has been constructed at a particular step in the construction and allow for explorations and conversations around the concept. We will now look at the creation of checkboxes using this file that we have already created of a triangle with two given sides and an included angle. When I click on this checkbox called Show Side 1, you will notice that the slider appears as well as the segment A, B and the points which define the segment AB. When I click on Show Base Angle, the ray that defines the angle at vertex A appears along with the slider. When I click on the checkbox Show Side 2, the circle that determines the second side appears, including the point of intersection with the ray. And when I say Show Triangle, the entire triangle appears. To see how this works, we will look at the algebra view. In the algebra view, you will notice that there are new variables here that have been defined called A, B, D, E and so on. And these are all having a value true. So these are Boolean variables which have been created when we created a checkbox. As the name suggests, the Boolean variable can take a value of true or false depending on whether the checkbox is checked or not. When the checkbox is checked, the Boolean variable takes a value true. When it is left unchecked, the Boolean variable takes a value false. When we create a checkbox to determine the display of objects in a construction, what we are doing is linking the display of the objects to the Boolean variable being true. We will now be looking at how to create a checkbox to direct the flow of a lesson through the display of the construction objects. This is the file that we were looking at. Now we want to display the side 1, the angle and the side 2 based on the inputs that we give for the display. So for that, I go here and select an option here called the checkbox. And I will say Show Side 1. It's a good idea to keep the algebra view open when we work with checkboxes because it's easy for us to see the construction objects in the algebra view when we want to include them and link them to the checkbox. So we want to be displaying the slider, the first slider, number side 1, the point A and the point B and the segment that defines segment AB. So the segment that defines segment AB is this. It is F, which is segment F, A, B. So you select the segment from here. So that is our first checkbox. Like in all other objects that we constructed, this also can be moved around on the screen. Now we want to display the angle and the ray that defines the angle. For that, we create another checkbox. We call it Show Base Angle and select the slider which defines the base angle. Select the angle itself and select the ray that has actually marked the angle, ray G. Then we say Apply. I'm trying to move the checkbox here. Now we notice that when I uncheck the base angle, the ray and the angle do not appear. When I uncheck the side 1, the points A and B do not appear. And you will notice that the segment here has also become unfilled. That means it is not appearing. However, we are seeing the triangle because the polygon was constructed on top of the 3 segments and the polygon continues to be displayed. But notice that the points A, B and the segment no longer appear. The slider doesn't appear as well. Now if I uncheck this, the slider for the base angle disappears as well as the ray and the angle. We will now do the same one for each one of the objects that we have constructed. Now we will look at creating a checkbox for the second side. I will call it show side 2 and we will choose the slider for side 2. The circle that is used to mark out the second side. Then the point of intersection, as you can see here, point C6, 2. Now you will notice that the circle appears and the intersection point appears. Now we also want this polygon to be linked to a checkbox. So I will create one more and say show triangle. And we go here and select the objects that define the polygon. We have already seen that the polygon is a distinct entity and the segments are distinct entities in GeoGebra. We have so far chosen only to show the segment that we have constructed. Now we want to hide the polygon also or display the polygon also based on the inputs received. So now we will link the polygon objects. You will notice that the triangle disappears. However, we still have one segment that is still visible. That means we have not yet linked it to any checkbox. Logically, that needs to be linked to the last checkbox called show triangle. Now let me show you another way of linking objects to a already created Boolean variable. Now we have forgotten, let us say, how to link the last side to a checkbox and we want to add it to a checkbox. We have so far seen how we add objects when we are defining the checkbox itself. But now I'll show you how you can go to the algebra view and add an object as well. So now we know that this is the object that we want to add, which is segment H, which defines the third side of the triangle, namely CB. And we want to link it to this checkbox called show triangle, which is Boolean value E. So we go here and look at the third segment, which is segment H. Right click it. You see the object properties and under the advanced tab, under the condition to show object, you enter E equal to true. So now E is not true. The show triangle checkbox is not checked. So therefore the third side doesn't appear. We don't show this as well. And the circle also disappears. So essentially your entire construction is not visible. We also want to decide when to display the perimeter of the triangle. And we will actually create another checkbox called show perimeter and link it to a text. So not only can construction objects be linked to the checkbox, you can also add descriptive text boxes linked to a checkbox. So we will look at the checkbox here, which is saying text T1, which is the perimeter, and I will link it to this. So this is show perimeter, and if I uncheck this, it doesn't appear anymore. So now let's look at the construction one more time. Show side 1, the slider and the segment. Show the base angle. Show the side 2. Show the triangle and show the perimeter. To summarize, the checkbox is a feature by which you can show or hide objects in a GeoGebra construction. It is very useful when you would like to direct the flow of a lesson by stopping and pausing and asking questions around the constructions or allowing students to explore how the construction should proceed from a particular point on. Every object in a construction that we make can be linked to a checkbox. This brings us to the conclusion of this video on the creation of checkboxes. Do check out the activities listed under week 3 and make sure you practice the GeoGebra features that we have introduced so far in the course. Look forward to seeing you in week 4.